So with that, let's turn into our practice today and want to begin by inviting everybody to, if you haven't already, to set aside your tools, close your phone, close any windows on your screens you don't need, and let's just be together for this time we have together that we've set aside. This is the word kadosh, holy, actually means in Hebrew to set aside. So we're dedicating this time for sacred practice, for spiritual practice, by setting everything aside, including whatever else might be on your screen, closing that, turning off your phone, anything that might be distracting, and let's just be together and settle into our seats. I want to adjust your chair, adjust your posture, and just begin by, let's begin with a short practice of settling in, pressing the crown of your head as up towards the sky, letting your hands fall into your lap or on top of your thighs, with your hands facing down or up in a receptive position, whatever feels comfortable for you. And bringing awareness to our bodies, settling our feet on the floor, feeling the support of the floor underneath. You might want to wiggle your toes to bring attention to your feet, and the soles of your feet and your heel, and really press down into the ground, into the floor. Maybe spread your toes if you can. And we're rooting down into this planet, both as we did earlier this week with Rabbi Robin Damsky, draining whatever does not serve us, whatever we don't need right now, and absorbing up from the earth all the resilience that the earth contains, incredible powers of renewal and the wisdom that resides within nature. Draw that up into us. And rolling the shoulders back a little bit, shoulder blades back so that the heart space can open up a little bit. Just opening our chest. Again, pressing the crown, the top of the head up towards the sky, and adopting a position of kavod, of honor, honoring and respecting our bodies, whatever their condition are right now, just as they are. They are vessels for the divine. And take a minute here to breathe deeply, receive some deep breaths into your belly, and release them. Let's take 3 deep ones together, receiving the gift of neshima, of breath. So aligned with our neshama, with our souls. And releasing that 3rd breath. And if your eyes have closed, that's great. You can leave them closed. If that's not available to you, you can just bring your attention inward. Just stay aware of your bodies and what's happening within your body. I'm going to share a little piece of Torah, and I will do some screen sharing as well, but there's no need to look at the screen at all. You could just follow my voice and I'll share whatever is on the screen. You can use this time to stay in your meditation. I'm sometimes have asked, what's the purpose of this pause that we take each day, this little mini Shabbat that we take each day on the daily set? And sometimes I just describe it as that. It's just an opportunity for us to pause and breathe, anchor ourselves, center ourselves, so that we will be less buffeted by the news, by the events in our lives, in our world, in our country, in Israel. And Diane, that would be enough. But then I think a little bit more about it, and I realize it goes beyond that, in my opinion. It goes beyond that. We're here to pause and breathe and center and anchor. But even more than that, we are here to really investigate what is true, not to escape from the world, not to bury our head in the sand, but conversely, actually, it is to pay closer attention to what is true, what's happening within us and around us. This is a practice of emet, of truth. In a time when, of course, that word seems to sometimes mean less and less, we're here to be investigators of the truth in our own experience. And our tool is curiosity, not conviction. Our tool is just to be curious. What is this? What's happening? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? Where is it in my body? What's my habitual reaction? What are my options for action? Is this a time to act or be still? Is this a time to speak or be silent? So emet is foundational to this practice. We're here every day to reorient ourselves to what's true for us, individually and collectively. And then it goes even a little bit beyond that, because the way we get there is through the path of chesed, of loving connection. And I'll just share that this week's Parsha Ki Tisa contains the section of Torah that reminds us that the essence of the divine, the essence of God, as presented in the Torah, despite all the stories about the so-called wrathful, judgmental, angry God of the Torah and the Hebrew Bible, we have a passage that teaches that when all that is peeled away, what is revealed is that the heart of the divine is love. And that's why we're here. We're here to practice love, loving kindness towards ourselves and towards each other in a heartless time that is full of hatred. We're here to respond with love. We learn this because the Parsha contains the story of the golden calf and Moses smashing the tablets of the Ten Commandments that he's received up on Mount Sinai when he comes down and beholds the scene at the foot of the mountain. And then he goes back up the mountain to negotiate on behalf of the people, and the negotiations proceed until God says, okay, let's try again. And Moses says to God, show me your glory. Please show me your glory. And God responds, well, you can't see my face, but I will make all my goodness pass before you. You will see my goodness. And what follows is the revelation to Moses of what is known as the 13 midot of compassion, Shlosh Esrei midot, 13 qualities, variations on the theme of love, forgiveness, mercy, grace, compassion. It's a passage we use as a mantra on Yom Kippur over and over and over. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet. V'Rav Chesed, the emet. That God is Rav Chesed, full of chesed, full of loving connection, the emet, which is usually translated as faithfulness, but literally means truth. And that is the heart of our practice. We're here, like Moses, holding both brokenness and wholeness. Broken set of tablets and the whole set of tablets that he's instructed to carve. And that according to the Talmud, both were carried in the ark, accompanying the Israelites through the wilderness, through the journeys of life. That we live simultaneously with our own brokenness and our own wholeness, and with the world's brokenness and wholeness. And we respond to that brokenness. And in fact, what is revealed through that brokenness is the capacity for love, for healing, for connection, for reconciliation, and for peace, for shalom, for wholeness. And that's why we're here. So there's a beautiful song written by my colleague, Rabbi Menachem Creditor, in the aftermath of 9/11 that he wrote for his child, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, which is based on a line in Psalm 89. And as we move into the silence of our practice, I'm just going to play him singing that song with David Paskin, and invite us to use that beautiful song, reminding us to respond to all the challenges and all the turbulence and all the losses and all the grief and all the fear and all the anxiety and all the anger that we may feel by accessing the ever-present love that exists within us, among us, between us, and that is yearning to find expression in this world right now. And maybe that's why we're all gathered here today, to take in and receive love, to extend it to each other, and to build the world from there. So let's continue to sit together as I play it one time through.
Chesed Yibaneh And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love.
To sit together in the silence. The only invitation really is to, as we inhale, experience ourselves receiving love, divine love, unconditional love. And as we exhale, breathing that love back out into a world that needs it, towards each other, accessing that heart of love that animates everything. last few minutes of our sit together, whatever the reason that brought you here, that led you to join this practice and this community, maybe at least part of that reason is to renew the capacity to receive love, or even to activate the capacity to receive love and to be a vessel for sharing divine love in the world. That we can say at the end of our days that we tried our best to do that, to be a channel for love in this world, that we increase the supply of love in this world. So the last minute or two of our practice, let's continue to practice that by receiving with each in-breath that chesed, rich in atmosphere rich in loving kindness and in forgiveness and in grace. And let's exhale and channel into the world more of that love that is so desperately needed. If you're comfortable putting your hand over your heart space, remind yourself of that heart of love. Let's close with that. And if your eyes have been closed, you can let them begin to flutter open. Look around your space, wiggle your toes and fingers. Come back to today. Thank yourself for showing up. Thank the rest of this group for being here to create this container. And with that note of gratitude, as we always do, we close with an opportunity for those who are in mourning, who have suffered losses, who are observing a yard site at this time, or if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish, to do so. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, we really hope that you stay present for a few minutes to support those who are. And we thank Rachel for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. You're invited, if you're reciting Kaddish, or if you're so moved, to share the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat, either now after you recite Kaddish. And if you are doing so, please join me by rising in body or in spirit. And you can unmute at this time. Gadal,
Shemei Rabba, Chivitei v'Yamlich Malchutei,
Yom Yom
Hayeh Tol Beit Yisrael,
Ba'agala
B'Zman
Bisman Karim
Karim
V'Yiru
Amen.
Amen.
Yehi
Shmei Rabba
Mevorach,
Olam
Olam
Olamai
Olamai.
Yitbarach
Yibarach,
V'Yishtabach
Yibarach,
V'Pa'ar V'Tramam V'Yinaseh Yitadar V'Yitoled V'Yikdusha V'Yichu Va'ilam
V'Kol
V'Birchata
Berchata
V'Shirata
V'Shirata
V'Shbachata V'Nechemata V'Amiran Ba'alma Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabban B'Shemaya Hayim Yalinu V'Yalko Yisrael V'Yimru Amen.
Oseh Shalom Arama,
Oseh Shalom B'Olam
Aleinu V'Kol Yisrael V'Kol Shveti.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Friends, thanks so much for joining us today. If you're leaving us now, I just want to let you know that hope you'll join us tomorrow. We'll be joined by Zach Newman, joining us from the UK, who will be leading us. And I want to also thank Rachel Huguet, as always, for holding our tech space with grace and skill, as always. And a reminder, I also want to thank Susan Russell for sponsoring our practice today. In my honor and in honor of my SIT predecessor, Rabbi Jordan Ben-Dad Appel, who originated our practice on a weekly basis way back when, and which we picked up 5 years ago today. I want to take a moment to thank Susan, thank all of you for your support over this time. And again, as I said earlier, whether you're here for the first time today, whether you've been here for 5 years, we're just always glad to see you, always glad to have you here, whether you're joining on Zoom, whether you're watching the YouTube recording, whether you're following on Facebook or Instagram, or on our podcast, Jewish Meditation for Everyone. So delighted and always and mutually supported by this community of practice. So thanks for being here and thanks for all your support. I'm happy to stay on. We can have a little party to mark 5 years. I mean, hopefully someone brought some snacks. I'm also happy to share the source sheet, which I was referring to during the practice today, and look at that in a little more detail. So you're welcome to stay on, and if you have a question, please put it in the chat, and I'll keep an eye out for that. And I'm going to switch to gallery view just so I can see everyone's faces. It's so moving and wonderful. Hi, everyone. I'm going to celebrate with a little. It calls for balloons and maybe some party. You got there, Shimon. What was that? Okay, thank you. So in a moment, I'll share. Thanks, Rachel. If you can put the link in the chat for those. I'm not sure if you did earlier. Put in the link to the source sheet since I wound up not screen sharing it. But on the source sheet, by the way, there's a link to the song. So I'll share the source sheet here. Let's take a look at it together, and I'll also keep an eye out for questions in the chat. All right, so this is the source sheet. Here we go. I will say, take the prerogative of saying that I really am always so happy when we get to this Torah portion, Kitisa, because at whatever point that I realized that this feels to me like the heart of the Torah, literally the beating heart of the Torah, is the passage about the golden calf and the aftermath of the golden calf, which would seem to be kind of a low point in the story from the perspective of the Israelites, but actually is such a powerful teaching about right from the get-go in the Torah itself of Judaism, understanding human failure, error, and fallibility as an innate part of the spiritual journey, and that it is met with absolute forgiveness and acceptance and love by the divine. Actually, God almost immediately forgives the people for the golden calf, but it seems to be Moses who has a harder time letting go. He's the one who goes down, literally smashes the luchot, the tablets, with the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments on them, and then goes, as I mentioned, through this process of negotiating. So the part of the text that I included on the source sheet picks up where after Moses says to God, after God says, okay, I myself will accompany the people through the wilderness as we had planned, and we're going to start all over again, and then tells Moses to carve two new luchot, two new tablets of stone, and that's where we pick up here. Moses carved the two tablets of stone like the first, and early in the morning he went up on Mount Sinai as Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh commanded him and took the two tablets. Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, the divine, came down in a cloud and stood with Moses, proclaimed by Yikra V'Shem Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, and declared in the name of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, and passed before him and said, Adonai, Adonai, Orachum V'Chanun, Erech HaPayim, and then I bolded for Rav Chesed Be'emet. And that's really here what we were focusing on today. Chesed Be'emet. We can kind of boil down our practice to those two words. We're practicing emet, truthfulness, faithfulness, investigating what's true. And we're doing that using the tool of chesed, of loving kindness, or as we sometimes translate it at IJS, loving connection. And then the song Olam Chesed Yibaneh is as written and composed by Menachem Creditor. It's from this line from Psalm 89, Ki amarti Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Shamayim Tachin Emunatcha Bahem. I declare, your steadfast love is confirmed forever. There in the heavens you establish your emunah, your faithfulness. And that phrase, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, is not so easy to translate, actually. In the lyrics of the song, it's translated as the world is built from love. But it could be translated in a number of different ways. First of all, the word olam, which can be translated as world, also can mean eternity or the infinite, forever. So it can be translated as chesed will be built forever, or will be established forever. That's another way of describing it. Or it could be phrased even as a prayer. Olam chesed yibaneh. May a world of chesed be built. May it be built. Yibaneh is a Hebrew construct, that form of the verb that could be understood as I think it's the grammatical term is adjussive. May it be so. May it be a world of love. So the hyperlink there is to the music itself for those who want to access it. All right, I'm going to scroll up to see questions. Oh boy, a lot of questions. Lori's asking, somewhere along the line, I learned if feeling or expressing anger and resentment was not honorable or kind or allowable. Now that I'm finally welcoming those feelings to be recognized or even acted, how do I forgive myself when I feel like I'm being unkind by having or expressing them so far from the me that we aspire to? Okay, good question. So, if it's true, as I was suggesting, that our practice here is to learn to be more to be more loving towards ourselves and towards others, what's the place of anger and other emotions that get in the way? And I think, Lori, that what I would say about that, and this is purely aspirational because I'm with you all the way, in terms of losing temper and being judgmental and all the rest. That's with all of us. We are human. The aspiration, I think, is not to be angry or to express anger, but to find a way, which is a kind of a manifestation of gevura, of setting a boundary, of a limit, right? A manifestation of that. And it has its role to play. But I think for me, I'll speak for myself, the aspiration is to try to figure out how to maintain or have a connection with chesed and love in that. I mean, if it were possible to express anger lovingly, how could that be done? Or if it's not possible to express it lovingly, how can I express that anger and still hold on to a sense of connection to the subject of my anger in some way? Can I still recognize their humanity, for example? Looking through for more questions. Holly's asking to not look away from the God who is punishing, and instead to understand that God's essence is love, and therefore God is also fallible. I understand this can seem controversial. Is it? Is it controversial to understand God as angry and punishing and loving? I think that's the question. If I'm created in the image of the Creator, then am I not created with the essence of love and the potential for error? To me, this means that there's a holy essence even beyond or deeper than, wider than God, which is the spirit of the loving essence itself. That's really quite beautiful. Thank you, Holly. For those of us who, like me, consider Torah and sacred texts humanly written, maybe divinely inspired or something, but pointing towards something deeper than the words themselves, then I would agree exactly with what you're saying. And that's why when I read this, I could read, of course, there are many other passages in Torah we could read and say, like, really? That's a loving, forgiving God? Um, uh, and I don't mean to repress those or ignore those. I guess what I would say is when I read this, I say, like, aha, we're onto something here. This goes deeper, and I need to put the rest of it in the context of this. And I find support for that in the Torah itself because it is Moses who says, wow, I think I'm getting an inkling about what you're about, God. Show me your kavod. Please show me your kavod. I want to know what you're really about, not my projections, not my imaginations. What are you really about? And the response in the Torah is humans can't know that, but you can get a glimpse. You can get an inkling. Um, you can have the experience of it that will tell you something about what's really true. And that's the experience that Moses has standing in the crack, in the cleft of the rock. So there's something so powerful for me about the imagery of brokenness in this Torah portion that Moses is literally in the crack of the rock where he experiences a sense of overpowering divine love as being the essence of the divine. Um, so for me, this is really pretty powerful talk. And of course, I'm imagining, yes, cracks filled with gold. Thank you, Robert. Some of you are probably familiar with that Japanese art form called kintsugi, which where broken pottery is repaired, not repaired, even really like reassembled with gold, with molten gold to fill the cracks, and it's considered more beautiful with the with in that quote broken form repaired by the gold. And I'm waiting for somebody to put in the Leonard Cohen line about there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And we have some beautiful Hasidic tales as well about cracks being actually so beautiful, the source of something that's great, of great beauty. So it's a great passage that reminds us that our human brokenness, fallibility, imperfections are actually the way in which the divine is able to make itself known through that. Um, all right, lots of great theological discussion going on here in the chat. Oh, thank you, Judith. It's like wrinkles; they show life experience. Um, Jan, thank you very much. Well, there are recordings of all of these, so you don't have to pay me anything. It's all available free. The broken tablets were with the whole ones in the Mishkan. Yeah, I was also going to share the Talmudic source for that as well. I'll just end with this, just as long as we're on this same theme, is that there is also beautiful midrash, which interprets what happens. I think it's based on passage later in Deuteronomy where God reminds Moses of shattering the tablets. That interprets that passage as God saying to Moses, Yasher Koach, well done, Kol HaKavod, you did well to shatter them. It was a good thing that you shattered them. Something came out of that. And that's also quite a remarkable rabbinic teaching that we get from our tradition. All right, friends, we'll end here. I'm going to switch back again to gather review. Maybe we can do, those of you who don't know how to do, if you go to the bottom of we should all have mastered Zoom by now after 5 years. At the bottom where it says react, if you click on that, it says send with effect. I'm just going to practice what I preach here by sending out some love to you all and just tell you what a privilege and honor it is to be able to be part of this. Definitely a silver lining of all the really enormous challenges that we have faced. And I know that there's been a lot of loss in this community over the last 5 years, a lot of grief. There's been illness. There's been celebrations too, and a lot of joy and a lot of resilience. And all of that happens because we're in this together. And when we gather, we get that daily reminder of, all right, we're not alone in this. So thanks to each and every one of you for that. And to Rachel and to all the folks on our wonderful operations team who make this possible and make it much easier to do so. So please be safe and well. For those of you who came on late, just a reminder or letting you know that on Thursday night, May 29th at 8 p.m., we're doing a formal celebration of 5 years, a little bit late to go out for our anniversary, but we'll go out on Thursday night, the 29th at 8 p.m. For the annual evening of gratitude, and we'll have a chance really to take that in. And in the meantime, we continue Yom Yom, day by day. Glad to see you. Hope to see you tomorrow to practice with Zach Newman. Many blessings, everyone. Be well.